The Ford government created multiple crises in Ontario when they massively cut funding to universities and colleges in Ontario and then allowed for a significant amount of international students to come into the province, an increase of almost 80% over the last 3 years. And then the federal government had to come in and clean up Doug Ford's mess by putting a cap on the amount of international students that each province could let in. The problem being that now with the international student cap, Ontario universities are going to be losing $1 billion in revenues over the next 2 years. And Doug Ford is doing nothing to help them, which means that we're either going to see massive cuts to funding and programming in Ontario universities, or we're going to start seeing some of them go under. And how much you want to bet Doug Ford and his buddies are going to be floating the idea of privatizing some of our universities. With the 20 public universities in Ontario expecting to lose more than $300 million in 2024-2025 compared to the previous year, with that loss expected to double in the next year. And in trying to reduce the amount of international students in Ontario, it's also going to impact the quality of education in Ontario. And you have to remember, Trudeau can't solve this problem. This falls on Doug Ford. Trudeau did what he could to help with the housing crisis and the international student crisis by putting a cap, but Doug Ford still has to come in and find a solution to the problem that he initially created all of those years ago. But Doug Ford doesn't care about the success of universities in Ontario. Doug Ford dropped out of college after a week. Doug Ford spent more time in high school selling hash than he did going to his classes. Doug Ford doesn't care about you or your kid's ability to access a high quality and low cost education in this province. Because if he did, he would massively correct the underfunding of Ontario colleges and universities. But instead, he's just going to watch everything burn to the ground. Because that's what Doug Ford and the Conservatives do. They cut and underfund until our public services collapse.